Look at us finally doing it, right?
So welcome everybody to, third episode of the Clutch Mindset Podcast. I appreciate a lot of people who gave us feedback on the last episode we did. I thought it was great. The way I want to always start these things is a little check-in. So, you've been talking a lot about your football team. Give me an update.
Still we're 5-0 now. Going towards the end of the season. We got the second and third place team coming up. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And when does the season end?
Our last game is next week, but the playoffs don't start till beginning of November. So we have a lot of practice time, gap time, try to figure out what's the best way to strategize depending on where we are with the seeding. So if we win Saturday, we're either going to be the 1 or 2 seed no matter what. And if, we win, if we go 7-0, we'll be the 1 seed.
Gotcha. And what got you into the whole flag football stuff?
Oh, no, when I got hired, they needed a coach, and I was basically told, voluntold to, you're doing this.
Yeah.
And I did, and I've been doing it ever since this is my 4th year doing it.
Yeah.
So it's always a good time.
Yeah, my baby her, that's now apparently my dog is obsessed with Chris, so she's probably just going to have to stay here quietly. Hopefully she doesn't bite your leg. But anyways, I just wrapped up my fall. It was a really good fall. I was able to see a lot of the young freshmen, a lot of the returners, and it's always a good thing to see the fall because the players just wrapped up with a whole summer. Hopefully you want to see them a little bit better, right? As they're playing throughout the summer. But these past couple months for sure. I mean, when you brought up this project to me, the whole sports psych thing, I mean, culture, leadership has always been something that I've really been diving into, especially with all the teams that I've been working with. So, that's going to be the topic for today, leadership. And just the whole way, just really defining what leadership is. I'm sure that, there's a lot of different definitions of leadership. So what do you call leader? What do you call leadership?
I call leadership guiding a team, or as an individual helping a team and staying on top of the goals and understanding what the team goals and the dynamic is by being a face of comfort, a face of discipline, and almost the face of what the team stands for. So that's how I kind of view leadership.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I've almost been taking an approach where start establishing your leaders early in your organization and your program to make the culture autonomous, right? I don't want to be the one telling you, everything, go get the rigs, go get the balls, or whatever the case is. It should really be done at a certain point. It should just be done automatically. So I know, at least for myself, I've been focusing a lot on that leadership aspect. Last season was a great season of, I had a lot of seniors that were in the program for 3-4 years, and they were just super mature kids, right? Or young men. They were super mature young men that led the team well. The coaches never really had to say anything because it was just they understood the assignment. They understood what needed to be done before game, after game, during practices, and it was to the point where all I had to really do was just make sure they knew how to play well, right? The small mechanical stuff, and just it was a team that was running itself. In order for us to win, this is what has to happen, right? We have to buy in to the small details, right? The small details of, he was big on, if you're a minute, if you're on time, you're late, right? Little stuff like that. If you're on time, you're late. So that's one thing that our program takes over with that example of the Giants, right? If you're on time, you're late. So show up, 10, 15 minutes earlier than that. So, after that meeting, it was almost like a night and day transformation from the team. And one of the most interesting aspects of that is at that meeting, we elected captains, right? But it wasn't the whole typical Coach A, Coach B electing the captains. We made the team themselves elect the captains. So it was like an anonymous thing. They took their letters, piece of paper, and they wrote down, who they thought should be the captains of the team. And then whoever was kind of like on that list, instead of picking one or two guys, was like, you know what? It's like a council. It's like a captain's council. You guys are all the captains, right? The team wanted you to be a captain. The team believes that you're a leader. So here you go. This is your responsibility. And it was super interesting to me because I've never done anything like that. Have you ever?
I did it two years ago with a basketball team. When it comes to like picking captains, I just didn't know who to pick because I couldn't determine who's really a leader on the team, who I could like go to and they could discipline. So and that team was a little bit of a wild bunch. And so I made them choose who they felt could lead them and this and that. Because usually when you think captains, you think seniors or, like the upperclassmen. But they actually elected a junior and one other senior as their captain. And I was like, okay, this is what you guys chose. So this means you... And it was like unanimous. It wasn't even like a close decision. So they kind of just, all right, you were chosen. Now you have to respect these guys and how we move. And when I talk to them and they're relaying messages, this is who you're going up to and answering for. Because I don't like I like the idea of captains, but I believe everyone can be a leader on and off the field.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just say just because someone's a captain doesn't mean it's the best player on the team. Just because they're a captain, it's not like they get the most minutes on the team. It's the person that shows up every day, on time, working when no one's watching, listening when no one is watching, ready to execute, always asking, how do I get better, right? Because not only do they want to get better, they're going to make the team better. Giving advice when no one's asking you for advice, right? Trying to guide them. So those are captains to me. Yeah. I've had captains where I don't even play them. They're unselfish. They just want to win as the team and make sure everyone's doing the right thing. And those are the best type of captains.
Yeah. You read my mind because that's exactly what I was going to go next is the thin line between, all right, maybe you're not a captain, but doesn't mean you can't be a leader of the team, right? So whether you're freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, whatever the case is, just just being a leader, right? The characteristics of a leader doesn't mean, all right, fine, you don't have the official role as a captain, but if you act a certain way, people are going to respect you on and off the field because of the way you carry yourself, and they're going to respect you, right? I think I'm a prime example of that as well because I never, I thought I was solid, I was decent, but I always felt there was a lot of things I did behind the scenes that stats won't show. Like I felt like I was a great teammate. All right, was I a captain of the team? No, but was I a leader? I think so. Right. A good example. One. I played for a really good travel organization around maybe 13, 14 years old. Could have been 15. I don't remember. But a lot of the kids on my team were studs, like D1 studs. And it came to the point where the coach was kind of like, Ryan, I want to make you a captain of this team because of the way you carry yourself, because of the way, you're always trying to finish first when we're running. You're trying to bust out the workouts as much as possible. Like you really push yourself. You set, you're here on time. You give 100%. You're following. You got the signs. You don't miss the signs. You know the signs. You know the calls. You know everything. Like you're gonna be one of the captains of this team. And at that point, I was kind of like, wow, like I am nowhere near the best player on this team. But for a coach to be like, you're gonna be one of the captains of the team because of those tangibles and your characteristics, that was like kind of hit me where this is how it has to happen for the rest of my amateur career. This is how I have to act. And then going into college, even points when I wasn't playing on the field, I wasn't that guy on the bench, watching the guy start over. You're like, damn man, I hope a ball goes between his legs. I was never that guy where the guy who's starting over you bases loaded, 2 outs, and you're there. Oh, I hope he pops out, grounds out. No, I'm that guy. Like, listen, I want to win, and if coach thinks like you're the best guy to win, so be it. I'm gonna do things a different way, right? I was the guy in the dugout where, bro, you just missed it. Or I'm the guy in the dugout where it was like, yo, if you made an error, sorry, bro, be ready for the next one. You're fine. So, and then it came to the times where I'm on the field, right? When I'm on the field, now my teammates are rooting for me, right? They want me to do well as well because I'm that guy where night in and night out, whether it's on and off the field, I was that guy trying to be a good teammate, right? If I couldn't contribute on the field because I'm not in the lineup, shit, I'll get all the foul balls you need. I'm going to take a couple in my bag, but all right, fine. You want me to go get the foul balls? All right, whatever. I'll go get the foul balls.
So my question is, how did you develop those type of characteristics as a ball player? How did you learn that way?
Yeah. I mean, I don't even necessarily know it was learned, right? I mean, it could have been kind of more like the way I was raised, right? I was always look out for someone else, right? It was never put someone down. What's the Bible term? Like, do unto someone else, whatever. Do unto someone else what you would want to be done to you. That's how I always lived. So when it came down to the sports aspect, right, I would want that next guy to root for me. So why I'm gonna be in a dugout not rooting for him, right? So I don't know. I was thinking about that earlier as well when we brought up this topic and we were gonna go over this topic. Not sure if it was something that I was, born into, the way I was raised. I also think that my trainer at the time, was super, he was very like into martial arts. So that culture, of just like being a family, being for your team. My uncle was in the military, so like that mindset of, we're a band of brothers. Going to Mount, the brotherhood in Mount, like it, that was just something I always was around, right? Just being a good teammate, good friend. So, I mean, it's something that, like I always said, I felt that it was super valuable and unnoticed many times, right? Because there's no stats for that.
Yeah. The reason why I asked is because leadership, coaching, all those things, no one is born with those attributes, right? They are learned. So what happens is when you're a player, when you're a coach, you learn from observation, right? So being in it, that's why probably like your first year coaching ever, you just took everything that your coaches, all like the best qualities of your coaches, and that made you a coach. And then you realize maybe that's not the right way for a certain group of kids. Yeah. Same thing when it comes to being a player on the field. You watch youth sports, you see them imitate their favorite NBA player, their favorite baseball player. When they hit a home run, they're like, flashy, or they do what the NBA players do. I see that all the time. Different like celebrations. Yeah. Because you're not coming out like exactly how to be and what leadership is. Yeah. You're just taking to what you think leadership is, and then you kind of fine tune it as the years go on. Right. And the thing is how you were raised, the people around, your trainer, right? That all formed your leadership abilities. Right. When it comes to coaching, you coach based on what your previous coach is. I was lucky. I had great coaches. I had okay coaches. My two coaches that really come to mind was like my freshman basketball coach, Mr. Smith. He's the man. And one of my JV coaches at Spelman. Those were like my two top coaches, and I was happy enough to have like really great youth travel coaches and stuff like that. But they showed me what discipline, but also compassion is at the same time. They were honest, but they were hard. They were super hard on you. Yeah. And I felt like it made me a better athlete and a better person. And so that was a great way to learn, because I always felt like I had like discipline, and I always had like, I wanted to win. I wanted to be the best that I can. I wanted to be the best teammate that I could, but I didn't realize like the dedication, because when you move up higher and higher in different levels of sports, it just gets more and more intense. Yeah. And they taught me how to be disciplined, be super tough, but also they're tough where it's like I like coming to practice.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying being here and competing and working hard. And if I fell off, they're like right there on top of me.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing I did when I first started coaching, except it's kind of like you take it to a whole new level because you're only like in charge now, you know, and you're like, I'm good. You know, I started coaching when I was like 19, 20. So it's like, these kids aren't really, these 2 years younger than me, 3 years younger than me. And I'm like going so hard on these kids. I'm like, push-ups, you missed the ball, push-ups, like, no. And it took me a couple of years really to figure out that being tough love, because that's how I thought you had to be, was really not the answer.
Right.
You know, I have leadership skills or coaching skills that I have to coach different kids. I have to coach every kid differently.
Yeah.
But your job as a coach is to create the vision. You know, I sit them down in a classroom every year. What's the goal? You know, you hear championship. Great. What's your individual goals? Great. Let's write them down. How are we going to get there?
Right.
Right. What do we have to do to get this end goal?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say it's championship. Okay. So what do we all have to do? Come to practice. Okay. Let's get a little bit more detailed. Come to practice. Working on 20 minutes of free throw shooting, right, towards my personal goal, but at this, you know, getting good grades, showing up on time, working, hustling every day, not complaining when you have to run sprints, not complaining this and that, right? Because if you want to be great, you have to do not always the most fun things, right? Create discipline, create good energy. And as a coach, your job is to kind of direct that. And as players, the players create the culture to make sure it happens. So your job as a coach is to get them to buy in, where it's a system that we all created together. You chose this. This is what your goal is. So this is what we have to do. And you agree to this in that meeting.
Yeah.
So when I hold you accountable, you can't get upset. And then when your teammate and the captains or whoever hold you accountable and they're working just as hard, you can't get upset either.
Yeah.
You know, because this is what we wanted.
Yeah.
So your job as a coach, you're creating, like, you're giving them enough space to develop that leadership skill, and then having side conversations and coaching them up differently, each individual. You coach the team the same. Everyone gets the same balance. Everyone gets the same. It doesn't matter if you're my captain. I'm yelling at you just as hard as I'm yelling someone that doesn't play. You know, and I'm coaching you up differently based on your personality. Because if you're coaching them, you should get to know them.
Yeah.
I know this person can't take when I raise my voice, so I'm gonna give them, like, hey, you're doing this wrong, like, and that gets the job done.
Yeah.
So it's understanding different ways to coach up, right? We're not coaching down, we're coaching up, but giving them the space where they can take control over what they can take control of. And that's how leadership abilities in these kids start.
Yeah. Yeah. I really want to go back to that thought, right? The first thing you said was, you know, like the role model aspect. I mean, you're spot on. Like, to this day, like, my role model is Derek Jeter. I mean, growing up, my role model has been Derek Jeter. And I don't think to this day, like, there's another Derek Jeter, right? Like, when you think about Derek Jeter, you think about, like, Kobe Bryant, right? Like that personality.
Mike Trout could be it, but he just got injured a little too much.
Yeah, but even still, like, the personality, right? Not even talk about the championships and all that stuff. Let's take all that away, right? Just the way you carry yourself, right? You know, the I know it's a different time, no cameras and all that stuff, but even staying out of trouble, all that stuff. Like, to this day, in the back of my mind, unconsciously, like, do what Derek Jeter would do, you know, like, what would he do in that situation, right? And then, you know, I think what you said with being able to coach differently for each and every player is spot on. And that's something where I had to learn myself too, right? And it's not so much it took a long time, because I think the best thing that I ever done in my life was major in psychology. Like that, I didn't know, I was going to be a trainer and all that stuff and a coach, but like my psych major really pinpointed, it was that period of time where I'm in college, I'll go home and coach, and then I'm like almost psychoanalyzing, analyzing players and realizing, yeah, every kid is different. Like I can, you tell me, you go, Ron, you suck. And I'm like, all right, bro, I suck. We'll see. Let's go. Right. But another kid is like, you suck. And then they shut down. So it's, it's just understanding, first off, you should never tell a kid he sucks. But, just that whole, some things might spark some things and some things might not. Right. People are going to have different forms of motivation that get them going. And it's your job as a coach to find that. Right. There's many times where it's not so much, for the most part, I talk the same way to everybody. Right. But it's pretty much where, like, where to stop at certain points, right? Like, listen, this kid can only take so much, right? At a certain point, it's like information overload, or just like when you're trying to just coach up a kid and in regards to like, listen, you got to work a little bit harder, this and that. At a certain point might be a little bit too much. You might have to take a different type of approach, right? But that's like trial and error of seeing, all right, this works, this doesn't for this specific individual. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't say it any better than you. That aspect, it's like almost like dynamic coaching, right? You gotta read the room, read the player, read the day, right? It could be that guy, it could be that it's your toughest player on the team that you could be a little bit more stern with him and tough on him, and he or she is strong-willed, but it could be a day where maybe they had a tough day in class. If you're working with teenagers, those high school players, the hormones, all that stuff, like all that come into play. You never really know what's going on at home. And that's something that I always think about is, you never really know what goes on at home, at least for that day. It could have been a family argument or whatever the case is. And it's now, you can ask my guys in the fall season, like I'm walking around like, yo, what's up, man? Like, how was your day? Like, how was your weekend? Are you okay? Is everything all right? Like, and what do you mean by that? No, is everything okay? Yeah, why? You think everything is okay? No, I'm just checking in, bro. Like, just trying to see, what you're up to. What are your plans? Right? What's your favorite team? Like little stuff like that, where it's kind of like breaking that, that barrier between like coach and player, right? It's like forming that bond. But, one thing that I've been focusing a lot is kind of like being real, right? It's not so much like pounding. It's more like, bro, this is going to be the outcome, right? It's plain and simple. You want to get here, you're here. Like, what's the in between, right? It can't just happen in one day. So what are the steps that we're going to take to get you there? And that's when you really got to see, all right, now this is my approach as a coach. I know I could be a certain way with certain players.
Yeah. I think nowadays, especially depending on where you're coaching, and this is just me speaking from inner city coaching standpoint or city standpoint, is that when you're coaching young men or young women, it's like that coach might be the most consistent adult figure that they have, and so when things go wrong in the game, they're looking at you. They're seeing how you're responding. And based on how you respond, they are going to respond. They're going to feed off your energy. So if you're going crazy on the umpire, they are also going to like feel all out of sorts, right? Feel lost. Learning how to be balanced in emotion could really impact the team based on your levels of aggression, emotion. I'm a very emotional coach, and I've learned to scale back over the years in the situations because I didn't realize until about a year in coaching how my emotions also impact the team, So I had to like limit that. And being honest with the players and telling them like, listen, I'm here. I've been in your shoes. I'm never going to be perfect. I'm going to make bad subs and bad choices sometimes, and no matter what, but everything I'm doing is for the betterment of the team.
Yeah.
And everything that I'm going to do is for the betterment of you. I want you to be better player, athlete, human, adult figure. And I want the same for myself. So how I treat you is how I would want to be treated back in return. And nothing I say is personal. Everything I'm saying is to just get you better in all around.
Yeah.
And I encourage open dialogue. So if you want to do this and do that, I'm going to tell you straight up. I always tell them, I'm always going to be honest with you. So if you want to know why you're not playing, I'm going to tell you why you're not playing. If you're not playing well, I'll tell you why you're not playing well. I have no problem telling them how it is, or in my opinion. And then they could come back and forth. We bounce back options, different ideas, different opinions, no matter the level of it. And we kind of just address it and assess it from there. And this is how we're going to get better, or this is how I think you're going to get better. And if I can't get you better, I'm going to give you Coach Ryan's number to get you better, and which I've done with 1-2 of my kids, be like, I don't have the time. I can't get you that great. So I'm going to outsource to great people that are going to take care of you.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how I've been operating the past couple of years. It's been great.
Same. I mean, the true part, like I just can't anymore. Like I cannot not tell the truth. Like, I just can't. In regards to, it's just going to take away so much from that player's progress by not just being honest. It's not about being honest and brutal. It's more like, listen, this is where we are today, so let's get a little bit better. I mean, that's kind of similar to what we talk about their awareness part. But I want to throw a couple things at you in preparation for today. There's a couple key points or topics that I wasn't aware about in regards to leadership. So I'd like to pick your brain if you do know about these things. So like different forms of leadership. So the first one being transformational leadership.
So we have transformational leadership. We have authoritarian leadership. We have, what other types of leadership? Transformational, authoritarian. You have like laissez-faire, like it goes how it goes. You have coaching type leadership. You have I can't remember. There's like 2 other forms of leadership.
Yeah. So let's start with transactional.
Oh, transaction.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Transactional is one, but let's start with transformational.
Okay.
Give me examples, or like what's an example of transformational leadership, or what does it even mean?
I mean, kind of changing the idea, transforming the crew. I mean, obviously, I don't want to use the definition in the word.
Yeah.
But being able to open up your mind in like a growth mindset type of feel.
Yeah.
So, understanding that we're always going to continue to grow. Mm-hmm. And we're always going to continue to study and research and get better as it goes. And we're going to have setbacks, but the idea of the situation is to have a growth type of mindset in this type of leadership.
Yeah.
Where you're letting your kids or your people do what they have to do to learn from their mistakes, but always keeping an open mind to enhance different ways to get better.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I have focuses on motivating and inspiring athletes by creating a vision, encouraging them to exceed their potential, right? So one of the, I'm a big like research guy, so a lot of the examples, I want to see like practical literature, or maybe there's like a sports psychologist out there that has done something. So a lot of these topics, I also have like a research study that went around. So a study by Arthur Hardy and Woodman found transformational leadership in coaches increases athletes' motivation, satisfaction, and team cohesion. Agree with that?
Yeah, why not?
So the second one, transactional.
Yeah. Transactional, it's in the word. So you do this for me, I do that. We don't bond, we don't do this. As long as you're playing well, you're playing. And as long as you're not playing well, you're not playing. Yeah. And it's very like, you do this for me, I do this for you.
Right.
It's a simple transaction.
Yeah.
And you're only good to me as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do. And then when you stop doing that, you're pretty much gone.
Okay. And how do you feel about that?
I mean, I mean, the way that travel ball works nowadays, depending on where you're going, it could be super transactional.
Yeah.
NIL deals, scholarships. It's if you're not performing, I mean, Major League Baseball, NFL, basketball, if you're not performing, you're not getting paid.
Right.
Right? It's pretty simple as that.
I'm staying on the team, you're getting released.
Yeah. I don't care about your well-being as much. I don't care about that. I care about results.
Right.
Right? So show me the results I want, and you'll be happy.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, that's college level spot on, right? You know, at the end of the day, that coach is, you're a freshman, but when you're sophomore year, that coach is trying to look for someone to replace you or someone to be better than you, right? In that best position. So, yeah. So research by Bass and Riggio shows that while transactional leadership can drive short-term performance, it lacks the emotional impact of transformational leadership. So they have, you know, Bill Belichick as a transactional guy.
Sure.
So, I mean, won a 10 on chips. So,
Yeah, I mean, when you're on like a high level, it's just really about getting the job done. At the end of the day, it's a job. So, because they're all adults. When you're talking youth sports, probably not the best situation possible.
right. And there's some notes on emotional intelligence, which I think overall, you know, that's the job for, you know, the coach, job for the players too, just gauging the emotional intelligence side. Are there any forms that other here too? It's if there's something that you want to go back to, we can. But I have like autocratic, right? That's kind of pretty more on the. We see it a lot in general. We see it a lot in the workforce. We see it in sports. We see it in just yeah, right. Autocratic. Are there any? Do you think there's any pros and cons of that autocratic leadership on both sides?
I mean, I feel like there's pros and cons to everything. So even transformational leadership, there could be cons.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always all pro. Sometimes, depending on your team, you need someone to step in and kind of take control. And maybe you need to like set ground rules in like a authoritarian, autocratic type of leadership style. Be like, this is how we do things. And if you don't want to do it, bye. And then, you know, people have a choice.
Yeah.
You know, and if their way works, then like if these rules work, like you have to show up 15 minutes before practice, you have to know all your plays by then and this and that. And if you don't, it's unacceptable. I mean, and people buy in and they see that it works, then I don't see what's 100% wrong. But when you're talking about youth athletes, you kind of need a balance. If you're talking about high level high school, high level college, D1, this and that, you know, you need that type of discipline that maybe that authoritarian kind of gives a little bit. But if that's the only way that you're doing it and you're not trying to like make these young people better, then youth coaching is probably not for you. Maybe you need that high end.
Right. Yeah. Some examples like Vince Lombardi, as he's known for his no nonsense, decision making, focused approach. You know, well known Green Bay Packers, and then democratic, right? Democratic leadership. I mean, like you said, you need a balance of both. I didn't know this. You know, this is something cool. So. Not really sure how to say this, but have you heard this Shella-Durai's multi-dimensional model of leadership?
No, talk to me.
So apparently it's an old research study, but or model. It shows that the best leadership style depends on the athlete's need during the situational factors.
Sure.
So it's, you know, based on the situation, you're kind of like, you could be both. You could be autocratic, you could be democratic, but based on the situation, you're both. I could see myself being a little bit of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, we see your team breaking down. You can't be too hard. You gotta uplift. You know, you could use different types of leadership, right? Because every team is different. You know, if you're coaching a team that changes every year, you gotta adjust to the kids. The kids can't always just adjust to you. Right? Like this might be the vision and this is how we do things. Sure. But that's not how you have to coach everyone. Because how you coach me to get my fullest potential would be different probably to how they coach you. Right? Because everyone has different backgrounds, different upbringings, different tolerance for different levels or different approaches. So how can I get the best out of this athlete? Or you just don't take those kids in, right? But if we talk in youth sports, you have to just be positive and disciplined at the same time, right? Like, great job. But when you start having kids answering what they did wrong, you're doing a great job. So if I don't have to tell you what you did wrong or what you should do next time, and you're like, yeah, I know I have to do that, they're learning.
Yeah.
They know. And so you don't have to beat them up. You don't have to get on them if they're like, yeah, I know I didn't. All right, so next time, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
A lot of coaches like to just hear themselves speak,
There was a good post on Twitter. I can't tell you who the athlete was, to be honest, because it was one of those things that I just scrolled through quick. But the whole point of the tweet was that this specific player, whenever he was talking about the team or a successful moment, it was always, we did this, like we succeeded because of this, or whatever the case is. And then in the same conversation, when he started talking about the bad stuff, it was, I messed up. I have to do this better. I have to do. So it was just pinpointing how, he was giving the success to the team, and then he was giving like the small failures to himself. I mean, that stands out so much on the leadership side, especially like the accountability and pointing fingers. No one wants to play for someone that's pointing fingers, right? Someone, you want to keep your players accountable for sure for mistakes, but no one wants to play for someone that's going to throw you under the bus at any aspect, any teammates or any case like that. So on the practical side, what are some ways that we can either first measure leadership? How can we tell like a kid has good leadership? Is there, more concrete ways? Is there like a test? There's like, I don't know, like a surveys or something that we could.
I mean, you could do personality tests, sure, but how I know someone is a leader right away is put them in a pressure situation and see what happens. Show me what you look like when you're losing.
Yeah.
Show me what you look like when there's like a lot of pressure on you, and let me know how you respond. Show me how you respond, and I could tell you everything you need to know. I tell my teams all the time. It's like, show me a team when they're down and show me how they react, and I could tell you what kind of team they are. And then show me a team when they're winning, right? Because everyone's happy when they're winning.
Yeah.
No one's sad when they're winning, right? But you show me a team when they're losing and you show me how they move. That's everything I need to know about who you are as a person, how you are as a team, how you are as a coach. And then I take that highly. If I lose a game, my team loses a game, all right, we lost. Let's get on the line. Let's shake hands, have a great game, and let's figure out what we did wrong, right? Losing a game, playing a game, winning a game doesn't define your character or who you are as a human. It takes nothing away from who you are as a person. It's at the end of the game, you lost a game. It's a game. And if you can't handle losing games or even winning games because you feel high and mighty, we got to talk about that type of emotional intelligence. And so the kids I lean towards is, when we're losing, what are you doing? Are you like, yo, pick your head up, we're good? When we're winning, are you guys like, hey, this is great, like, let's keep it going? Are you cheering on your teammates? When I take you out the game, are you cheering on your teammates? So it's kind of like what you're doing off the bench, what you're doing on the floor, what you are on the field, how you're responding when you get taken out. If you mess up, you show me like a combination of those, but you don't know leadership until you're thrown into that fire.
Yeah.
You don't know. No one knows.
Now, if you're a player, I would assume everyone wants to be a leader, right? Like, there's so many positive connotations to that. But sometimes people think they're doing leadership things and not really being so. So what are some things that you can do on a daily basis to take those small steps of being a leader for your team?
I would say, kind of like what you spoke about, have a we approach and know what you can get better, right? Leaders, you have to focus on yourself first. So what am I doing wrong? Always ask that, like, am I doing something wrong? What am I doing great? And then direct your attention to your teammates on how they could get better without being, I know everything. So you don't have to like say like, hey, you this, that. Just go over to them like, hey, next time, let's do this. Next time, let's do that. Hey, do you want to get some work in after? Hey, let's have a team practice. Hey, let's go out. You know, trying to get the team to gel would probably be my first piece of advice. So worry about yourself on like what you can do to get better and what you can control, and then go to your teammates and just like always support them if they make a mistake. You know, they're not trying to mess up, you know? So it's, hey, let me help you out. We're in practice. Hey, next time, do this route, you know? And then when you get taken off the court, like, see what the bench is doing, see what this person's doing, see what that person's doing, and just kind of put it together. Like, you're locked in the whole time, and you're going over to different people saying, like, that's not wrong, that's right, great job, you know, not getting on them for making mistakes, but correcting the mistakes.
Yeah.
So I would say just take accountability for yourself, take accountability for your teammates to make sure they get it right. And then as a whole, it's not really about what you do, it's about how we do. So if you're not getting any catches, if you're not hitting the ball, if you're not playing well, but your teammates are, am I thinking about me or am I thinking about we?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Man, that's well said. Man, I know so many kids that, you know, they're great young men that, regardless of their talent, they're always there, right? They just want to show up to practice. They want to contribute to the team. I mean, I know so many kids that, like, they're not even the one playing on the field, but they're like, I know I can't. I know I probably can't. I know I can't hit well, or like, I know I could hit better. I'm not the best hitter. I'm not the best fielder. I'm not the best pitcher. But damn, if the only thing I could do for this team is carry a bucket in, like, I'm gonna do so. And that kind of says a lot about a player, right? Because then sometimes you see the starters, right? You see like your starting shortstop and whatnot, like not carrying the ball. I mean, carrying the buckets or the waters. And I'm like, dude, you should be the first one carrying. You should be the first one carrying a bucket of balls. Not only are you blessed to start, but like, take charge. Like, show people like, yo, look, I'm the starting shortstop and I'm carrying a bucket of balls. I'm the starting outfielder and I'm the starting point guard. I'm carrying all this and stuff like that.
It's from the top.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so if the coach or the best player thinks he's too good,
Yeah.
then, you know, it works your way. It works down. Like, a lot of teams like to do freshmen or the young people carry the equipment.
Yeah.
Which, yeah,
For sure.
you know, you got to pay your dues.
Mhm.
So there's a reason why the senior's feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
But that doesn't excuse the senior from giving the freshman like all the crap work. But it's a buy-in, you know. It starts. You want good leadership, have good leaders around them.
Yeah. I don't know if I said this story in this podcast, but I know I'd say this story a lot. So I went to, you know, it was around that time where I'm thinking about going to SUNY Purchase, and it was SUNY Purchase versus Manhattanville. I had Jordanis Nunez in Manhattanville, who I played travel ball with. He went to St. Ray's. And then I had, you know, my right-hand man, JD, and a couple buddies, Rob Lopez, at Purchase, and we played in the same travel team. Yeah, he went to Purchase. And, you know, we played in the same travel team. So, all right, like, let me go watch this game. The two things I remember was it being freezing, not knowing how the dudes are out there playing. And the second thing that I stood out was, you know, Jordy is the starting shortstop for Manhattanville as a freshman. I think he got a couple hits, made a couple plays. And at the end of the game, when he came to go say what's up to me, my man is carrying, like, the pitcher's armbands. He's carrying the 2 jugs of Gatorade. I'm like, bro, like, you just went off in this game, and and he won, like, Rookie of the Year that year. Mm-hmm. And that's what stood out to me. I was like, bro, like, that's a that's a leader. That's a leader of a team. Like he's your starting shortstop, and he's like with a big old smile, like, oh, what's up, Brian? Like, thank you for coming to the game. He's carrying his Gatorade jugs.
Yeah, it's probably good coaching because it's not like what they have to do; it's what they do, right? It's what we do. It's what the travel team does,
Right.
right? Like no one's below it or above it.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we do. This is how we operate, and that's it.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a part of it, you have to be a part of it.
Yeah. And I do that too. There's a couple of times, with the team where when we're running and stuff like that. I'm telling you, I'm not putting you to run for punishment. I'm putting you to run to work out. In fact, I'm going to run with you guys.
Yeah.
So, of course, it's for me to get a little bit of exercise, but like I feel it's kind of like you're the leader leading your team into battle, right? He's going to put us to fight, but he's grinding with us. He's grinding with us. So there's definitely a type of environment there when, we're running sprints and I'm like, I run the sprints, bro, but you better not let me beat you. You know what I'm saying? And then you better not complain about being tired because I'm running these damn sprints with you too.
And the kids have to realize, like, we're here.
Yeah.
Like, coaches are sacrificing time, and so to speak, like high school coaches, you're not getting paid, thousands and thousands of dollars, right? Like you're taking away time from like your family and to be a part of something you love, like the sport and trying to teach. And it's like, you can't, why are you complaining about practice? Like I'm here, I'm waking up, I'm ready to go, and we're in this together. The same way you feel waking up at 7 a.m. is the same way I feel waking at 7 a.m., right? But it's like teaching discipline and teaching, that like when you work hard for something and you're going to see like the dividends paid off. Because if you could get through this, because certain sports, certain teams, I'm super tough. Like there's growth and like, I want to make sure they grow. But some of them, they need that discipline because then they're just like brush it off.
Yeah.
And I've been tough. I've yelled. I've also teams I don't have to yell.
Yeah.
Depends on what you get. But as long as your messaging is always the same, no matter what team, no matter what this, what that, you gotta be the same and you can't switch up.
Yeah.
That's when leadership falls apart, right? You know who you are. You know what you want from the team. You know what you want to get from the team. There's just different streets and avenues to get there. So you got to make sure you stay along the path. But the kids have to create it.
Yeah.
You got to create all of it, right? And you just put the bumpers on and let them travel through and bump all on the way to the path of wherever the season or leads you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good example. Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, the whole leadership thing, man. I think more coaches really have to just dive into it a little bit more. This is why I think this project is super cool. Just seeing there's so much more out there that you can implement to your team, and that's kind of like what I've been looking into. The last thing I want to talk about, I don't know if you heard about this, but coach-athlete relationship questionnaire, CART-Q. You ever heard about that? So it was pretty interesting. I was reading it through, so it's basically a tool to assess the quality of the coach-athlete relationship, focusing on 3 dimensions: closeness, commitment, and then complementary, right? So like your ability to give compliments, the whole 9. Strong leadership is often linked to higher scores in each of these dimensions. So it was a study found that athletes who reported high levels of closeness with their coaches performed better and had a greater motivation. This demonstrates how leadership is directly impacted by athletes' outcomes.
Sure. When you care about somebody, you don't want to disappoint, not only disappoint, but, it's not transactional.
Yeah.
I'm coming out here to hang out with the guys and just try to get them better, have a good practice, and they want to come out. Then they don't have to worry about getting yelled at, getting in trouble. They're here to work, and as the relationship grows, like they learn about me, like how many times I get asked, "Oh, can I come to your wedding?" You know, and even though like obviously no, but just the fact that they even want to do that is actually kind of sweet. But it's just, you know, if you're not having a good time, no one else is.
Yeah.
You know, if you're the coach and you're not enjoying yourself out there, how do you expect your athletes to enjoy themselves?
Yeah.
And if they're not enjoying themselves, they're not playing well. They don't care.
Yeah.
The motivation isn't there.
Yeah.
And then everything's extrinsic motivation. There's nothing personal to them. Like, you know, I show up for them. They have to show up for themselves, for the team, and for me as well.
Yeah.
You know, we're in this together. And they have to feel like they're in this. When you lose, I lose. And when I lose, you lose. And when we win, we all win. And no matter what the situation is. And so, yeah, that makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. Dude, if you strike out, I take it personal. I feel like I failed you as a hitting coach. That's how, like, that's your success. I'm not the one hitting, right? A win or loss, whatever, cool. But like my mindset is, bro, like that moment when you struck out, I'm like, bro, what could I have done differently? So, you know, it's kind of like where I put myself with the players that I am, right? It's like, dude, I'm putting so much time and effort and, you know, making sure you understand, you know, you're preparing the right way, you know, your approach, your mindset, your preparation in and out the box, you know, on the mound, adversity and whatnot. So that's one thing I definitely got to learn is not take kids' failure personal. 'Cause I'm like, dude, I'm out here grinding, trying to make you better. And if it's not working, then I got to figure something out.
No, it's not even that it's not working. I wouldn't even say like what you're doing is working. What you're doing is probably working, but you have to understand that, like, how was the swing?
Yeah.
It's not really about hitting the ball.
Right.
Process over outcome.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, like, did you swing at all 3 pitches and struck out? All right, cool. That's a great at bat. No big deal. Was the swing good? Great. Okay, you're probably late. Right? It's a timing issue, like 95% of hitting, right? It's probably a timing issue. If the swing looks good, your probably timing is off.
Right.
You know, whatever the case is. So you can see, you have to, as a coach, you have to put the wins even in the failures.
Yeah.
Like, hey, great step. You spun well. You swung well. You got to hit this, right? Your step's too big, right? Your step is too high. You're dropping your hands. You're extending before rotating. You know, there's like those little nuances, but it's like, all right, timing's, you know, this, that, and a third. That's why you probably struck out. But you have to understand as a coach and as an athlete, like, you're not going 3 for 3 every game.
Yeah.
No matter how much you want to go 3 for 3 every game. So, but was the process good?
Right.
Was the swing good? Did you take 2 pitches and then you swung at your third? No kidding. That's why you struck out, bro.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like to process over outcome. Like, how did you feel on those swings? You felt good on those swings? If they feel confident, you did your job.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even about making them a better hitter. It's about just making them a more confident hitter.
All right.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about?
I just want to, as a coach, you know, that you've been coaching for a while, you know, you see kids from all over. You've seen kids literally from all over, from different parts of the country, from this and that. What are you looking for in your leader?
Oh, it's a good question.
What are the qualities that you've seen from different people from all around the country?
Yeah.
You've seen from D1 to pro to D2, D3.
Yeah.
What are similar characteristics that you see in somebody that you feel makes them a great leader?
Believe it or not, you know, and I'm going to generalize this for everyone, right? All the top talent that I've seen, from pros to like the better players in high school, humility is number one, right? I've never met the big leaguers I met never really big leagued me. It's always like I always got big leagued by like people who never really kind of been there, done that. The big leaguers never really big league, so humility is number one. confidence is number 2. Right? I've never met someone that didn't, at that level, that didn't believe in their ability, right? And the want to teach, right? The want to like help other people has always been there. It's always like the better players that want to teach other people to like just, do this, a certain way. Can I show you a certain way how to grab a bat, feel the ball, whatever the case is. And then communication is always a big plus, right? Just being able to like have dialogue without being so upset, right? You share your opinion, I share my opinion, right? I'm getting, listen, I think, telling the player, hey, I think this might work for you a little bit or not. And then that dialogue of that player is saying like, why do you think that, right? Why do you think this works, right? Other characteristics of just obviously honesty, right? Honesty is a big one, right? Accountability. I messed up. It was me. I didn't do that. I didn't do this. My bad, bro. I overslept. My bad, bro. I stood out too late. Like I told you I was gonna be there, but I apologize. Like I'll make up for it. And that's. I'm sure there's more, but those couple.
You know what's my favorite? Sorry, now you just sparked something in my brain. My favorite kids are the ones that tell me, "Hey, we won," right? Like on different teams, "Hey, we won." The period. Or "Hey, we lost." Period.
Yeah.
They don't say, "I had 18."
Yeah.
"I went 3 for 3."
3 for 3.
Unless I ask them.
Right.
Right. Or like, how'd you do? And the first thing they say is like, "Yo, the team did great."
Yeah.
Those are my favorite comments.
Yeah.
Not, "I had 15 and 8 and this and that."
Like your game, bro. Yeah, I'm in 4-4. Yeah. I had 2 1.
Yeah. I mean, that's something to brag about. I would brag about that. Sure. Yeah, but
did you guys win?
Yeah. Like how, like when you come like, "Oh, we won." That's great. I love those like first comments like, "Oh, we lost." Like, "How'd you play?" It doesn't matter. Like, I got to play better, and not getting too hard on yourself. Just kind of like, I did fine, but we got to get the team there. We got to get the team here. We got to get the team there. That's why I think my I keep going back to the football team. The football team is doing well because I thought we'd be 0-5 before we're 5-0, and it's just, everyone's like, "Oh, I don't know how we're gonna do." Like the guys that've been there, they're like, and then like practice comes, and everyone's kind of like, okay, and then starts building, be like, "Oh, we gotta do this," and like, okay, and I tell them like, "Yo, this is where we're weak. I need you guys to step up. We gotta work on it." Everyone's like, yeah, we gotta step up. We gotta do, right? Like, being honest is just kind of calling out what everyone is already thinking. Yeah. So if everyone could come to agreement, it's not an attack. Right. It's just like, hey, this is the issue, and we gotta adjust, and that's what teams are. This is what teams do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it.
Good stuff. I'm always looking forward to us linking up, because I think that just as we continue to go on, it's just going to be so insightful, and I think hopefully we get some guys on. I would love to bring some of my buddies that went through some things, like just to pinpoint like, what type of leadership do they think they are, they're in, or what have they seen in other levels of baseball, right? Or sports in general. I can only speak to the collegiate level, but I could just imagine how it is like on the pro side. So, who knows? I would love to get some guys in, but yeah, man, I appreciate everything you said today. I'm looking forward to the next one. And then if you have any plugs you want to make before we head out?
No, man, I'm good to go. Thanks for tuning in, watching the video, watching the clips. And if you got any feedback, got any thoughts, questions, ideas that you want to like hear us talk about, then plug them in.
Yeah, for sure. I'll plug my training programs. It's October, November. Once November hits, I'm getting back to my training sessions. So if you're in the Bronx and you're looking to put in some work, strength and conditioning, pitching, hitting, fielding, hands down, I think I'm running one of the best programs in the Bronx. So, if you're looking for some work, affordable. Yeah, and affordable too, trust me. So if you're looking for some work, hit me up.
I charge way more than him, and he's better than me. So,
All right, guys. I appreciate it, Chris. I appreciate you, man. Looking forward to the next one.
definitely.